still trying to puzzle out the details of my job, Corinne was an extraordinary resource for our editorial team. She was a skillful interpreter of the research for those of us whose statistical knowledge was a little more limited. And she valued asking the questions that make a difference for people with visual impairments. Who else would find it fascinating to figure out how many people with visual impairments there really were in the United States, or how many there might be in the future? And not to mention, as Dwayne did earlier, the fact that she picked up these odd typographical errors here and there, such as things like clown loadable access in one of the access articles. She kept us laughing as well. Her usable data columns made statistics both reliable, readable, and relevant, and I depended on her for her wisdom and insight, not to mention an occasional laugh. As a sociologist, Corinne's writing has extended far beyond our own professional field to disability studies, language, and discourse, and I'm deeply honored to receive an award that bears her name. I'm also a little mystified about why I was selected for this award, although I was greatly relieved to find out that Kay Farrell has already received it. So there are a few other folks to knock off here in terms of excellent research in this field. I spend most of my university time trying to find funds to support my faculty and students, to decipher the ever-changing university registration process, and to foster an ongoing relationship with the IT personnel at my college, as you all do. My list of research projects always exceeds my reach. I've been privileged, however, to be involved with some really challenging and fascinating research projects along the way. Maybe the most memorable was the ABC Braille study with young Braille readers learning the process of Braille reading. And we followed them over a period of 4 to 5 years to find out how they learned to read, and found great variability among not only their motivation, but their Braille reading abilities. One of the things that stays with me about that study is the realization that a good reading teacher makes an enormous difference, not necessarily, or not only a good TBI, but also a good reading teacher in the general classroom. And I have Ralph Bartley, Ann Korn, and Diane Wormsley to thank for my participation in that study. Currently, I'm engaged in an IES grant project with Penny Rosenblum and Carol Beal to develop a fully accessible iPad app for teaching pre-algebra skills to students with VI through examples from endangered animal species. And it's a fascinating chance to see these students selecting from different kinds of learning media, ranging from screen activation to refresher barrels, to all kinds of options for accessing what's on the screen. But if I've contributed anything to the body of research in this field, it's probably been my effort to build bridges between research and practice. There's still a Grand Canyon-sized gap, and my Arizona group will appreciate that, between what we learn through research and how we transmit this knowledge into practice. In my former role as editor-in-chief of JVIB, and now as associate editor for practice, I'm committed to make our publications understandable by and useful for teachers of children and adults, O&M instructors, rehab teachers, others who work directly with people who are blind or have low vision. I believe that researchers have a responsibility to conduct their research that will matter, and also to include practitioners as researchers. I hope that in some way I've succeeded in narrowing that gap between research and practice. My appreciation goes especially to Corinne for being a role model for all of us who value and conduct research, to Carl Augusto for his wise leadership of AFB, to Natalie Hilson, who probably had something to do with this award since she always seems to be involved in honoring others. Also to my colleagues at University of Arizona, Penny Rosenblum, Irene Tober, and Pam DeSteiger, who are always making me look better than I really am. And to my husband Ken for, in 2002, allowing his visually impaired high school students to participate in my research studies. Our marriage was a very favorable outcome of that particular piece of research. My deepest appreciation goes to all of you at AFB for this honor. I will do my best to deserve it, even as I move into retirement.
Yeah.